What a packed show we're going to have today. The five families all together. Stevie P, where are we going to go? We're going to go through a bit of Azzurri talk. We're going to talk about what's upcoming for Milan. Everybody's going to talk about their respective clubs. Take a couple of Patreon questions, but this is the gathering of the five families. And gentlemen, if we are ready, let's go.
Welcome to the Milan Weekly Podcast, the English voice of Milan fans all over the world, with your hosts, Vinny T and Stevie P.
Benvenuti nella casa
Giro in area, si gira, sinistro, rete, gol capolavoro di Olivier Giroud.
Mignon with another magical save.
Mamma mia, Teo Hernandez, coast to coast, del numero 19.
Leao carica il mancino. Eccolo qua, Rafa Leao.
Il Milan è campione d'Italia.
Cari amici sportivi, welcome yet to another edition of the Milan Weekly Podcast. Here we talk everything Milan, this week a little Azzurri, and we are joined from what we like to call the five families of the Milan clubs. We got Maurizio from Toronto, the Fanta from Philly, Mark, Boston, Franco, who I'm going to meet for the first ever time live and in living person this Sunday in New York. Gentlemen, and obviously Stevie P here with the what are we wearing there, Stevie P? That's very, very nice.
That's the new warm-up jacket.
Yes, sir.
Very nice, very nice. And Steve, welcoming all our guests today. Do you have something to say about everybody, or we're just gonna let them all introduce
It's
themselves?
about time you guys come on.
So, guys, you know what? Before we get to talk a little bit about the Azzurri,
No, but let's explain how long it took them to come on, okay? Let's explain. I'm going to explain city by city.
I want to hear this. Let's go.
City by city. Maurizio is always working. He's always working. That's why he can't come on. David, he flies around the world. He's like Carmen Sandiego. Where's David and Angie? Mark, he's worried about the Boston Bruins breaking records and the Celtics kicking ass. And Kumbare Gicci soon is going to be working for Milan because New York, Milan goes more to New York than they actually go to Milan.
Well, he got a visit from a real presidente this week, and I'll let him talk to us about it. Presidente Marcello was a little jealous there that you met Scaroni. But gentlemen, before we get into it, how's it been this week? And you know what? Let's go bit by bit. What are you guys planning for this week, or how's Milan? Let's start with Toronto. Moritz, how's Milan Club Toronto doing, and what is planned for the clash on Sunday?
So this weekend is actually, we're trying something new, an initiative that one of our members put together. We're doing a ticketed event, which is actually happy to announce that it's sold out, where we're doing in collaboration with Smiles of Innocence, a sick kids charity, where we're about 60, 70 people that'll be comfortable at the Mills, in collaboration also with the Mills. And we'll have some prizes, raffles, and enjoy the game. Raise some money for this charity. It's a first off, and hope to continue next year. We'll pick a game and do another one and see how it goes. And being a ticketed event and limited thing, we hope to draw quite a good crowd and the demand going forward with this.
That's awesome. Like, and a nice initiative for a charity event, and sold out, right? Maurice?
Right. Sold out.
And for people in Toronto, again, if the address, the Mills Tap House, and it's in Vaughan, like, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. It's about 30, 40 minutes outside of Toronto. They've been our home for the last 5 years, family run, and couldn't say anything more about them. They've been really great. Franco has had the chance to be there a few times, and I think he enjoyed himself. But
No, really good people. Really good people. Like you said, a family-owned business. You could tell it's, they treat people like family when they walk into it. It's a really good spot.
Gentlemen, we're gonna leave New York for the end because he's got more news than everybody else, right?
We got a special guest coming this week. Forget about the one that we had the other day. We got
you have another
guest on Sunday. So
you have another guest. Okay, another guest. Let's go to David. David, always so dapper. Look at him. He's always clean shaven, looking good. He's just missing the foulard that the Stevie P likes.
Yeah, I almost put it on. Just for Stevie P. And I swear to God, my face is like my wisdom tooth. It's killing me. Had to get it removed, and so here I am with a bloated face. But anyway, no, I'm so happy to see all you guys. You all know how much we love you guys individually and collectively. We are getting ready for our next meetup this coming Sunday. We're going to try a new spot in Philadelphia called Bankroll. So we hope everybody can come out and join us, and we'll see how it goes. But we're expecting a good crowd there. Announcement's going to come out tomorrow with all the details. So make sure to check us out on Twitter and everything else. And we're excited to kind of get back into it. The last meetup we had was for the Champions League match that ended up pretty nice match. I thought Milan looked pretty good then. Sunk a little bit since then, but we're excited to get the group back together and looking forward to it. And Vinny, I know you have a Philadelphia trip planned. Is it next summer, this summer? When is it again?
Next year, WrestleMania. How did you already forget? April.
No, I'm hoping it's this year.
No, WrestleMania 40 is next year. It's a week event. I hope you're ready. We're going to have so much fun. Philadelphia, WrestleMania 40. I can't wait.
I can't wait for that one. Can't wait for WrestleMania, guys. Wow.
Well, I speak for myself and the First Lady. You should do a practice run this summer just to make sure you know where you're going.
Okay. Maybe a practice run in Philadelphia. We'll see. Maybe come down with my cousin Johnny's got that family over there. But okay, we'll keep that in mind. Practice run. But Mark's gonna probably meet me in Philly for WrestleMania because he's a Mark just like myself. But he is a true Mark. Mark, Boston. What's going on, man? What's in store for Milan Club Boston this week, especially this Sunday?
Yeah, we'll be at Ducali as we always are. Well, we need it because the chat is desperate for a match. They need something to talk about. Italy didn't do anybody any favors, so it would be nice to get back on. I'm actually glad we're starting off with a big one. Just might as well just rip the Band-Aid off,
We need.
Yeah, we'll be at Ducali right down the street from the Garden. So if anyone's in the Boston area, come and join us.
Right down the street from the Garden. I love it. Franco, you were in La Gazzetta, right? Were you front page? I don't know if you were front page. You should have been front page, but talk to us about the week that was and what's going on this Sunday there for Milan Club New York.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a lot of people saw it was a pretty big week for our club. Just another opportunity that we were literally just handed. We were contacted by a couple people at Milan a couple weeks ago, and literally the initial message was Scaroni's coming to New York to do an event at the UN. He's the exact words was he is keen on meeting you all. And literally the Milan team, their little delegation that they sent with them really made an effort to make the time to come to Football Factory. Unfortunately, I feel the need to say this, I've spoken to a few people already about this, but, we had to limit the amount of guests at the behest of Milan. I think mainly they didn't want to overwhelm Scaroni, with a massive amount of people in a bar. He just wanted to come say hi to the committee and a few other guests and stuff and just kind of check out what it means to be a Milan fan in New York. And so, we couldn't open it up to everybody. So I apologize for that. But, we wanted to include those who support the bar the most, obviously outside of the committee, and those who are most present week in and week out. And it was a really nice opportunity. Gazzetta dello Sport came, like you said, Corriere dello Sport, La Stampa, La Voce di New York, which is like a New York Italian and English publication. Rai came with a camera crew, and Serie A North America also sent a couple of representatives too. It was a really, really nice afternoon. Scaroni came down. He was very charismatic, very cordial. He's a lot more charismatic than you would think he is. He's actually a very big presence. He's taller than he seems, a very broad man. His English is phenomenal. Obviously, he's a very intellectual person, and that shows the second that he opens his mouth. So he just came down. I introduced him real quick. He was actually pretty impressed with the background knowledge that I had of him, and then he was smart. He cut everybody off at the pass. He saw all this media here. He saw a bunch of fans, and he just cut everybody off at the pass. He talked about Pioli. He talked about the stadium. He talked about the Mercato. He talked about the season, last season, this season, making the quarterfinals of Champions League. He hit, all the bullet points before anybody even got, a hello in to him. And it was nice. We exchanged gifts. We chatted for a bit. We took some pictures. We shared a beer. It was really, really nice. Not just because of him, but also the Milan delegation that came. Alessandro Sansica is he's like the international media manager for them, and Halaji Bargi, who's a guy who I've followed on Twitter for a long time. He's the corporate communications manager for Milan, and Rocco Giorgiani, who's the secretary general for Fondazione Milan, a guy that I've spoken to numerous times but never seen in person. So it was really cool to have those three guys along with Scaroni just to hang out, people that you see and speak to all the time, and have them in our bar and just show them really what it's all about. So that was really, really nice. I'm caught up with the finances.
That's super cool. And other than me gracing you with my presence this coming Sunday, anything planned special? Or we have a nice question there from Patreon, and asking you guys, maybe some moments that you got to meet somebody that was, Milan or really famous. We're gonna get to that after. But what's going on this Sunday at the Legends?
Yeah, so New York has been very hot with this with Napoli's run right now. Obviously, there's a lot of Neapolitans in this general area. So all of a sudden, I see 30-somethings.
What? They're coming out of the woodwork?
Exactly.
Oh my God, we're shocked, ladies and gentlemen. All the margarita pizzas are coming out now. All the pizzas are coming out. Same thing over here.
Yeah, you beat me to it. There's a lot of 30-somethings walking around with Napoli jerseys. When I knew them as kids, they were walking around with Milan jerseys. Now they're proud Napoletani and proud Campani. So New York has been very heated, because we have such a strong presence as a club, and now all of a sudden, like Steve said, all of a sudden these guys are coming out of the woodwork. We don't share a bar with them, fortunately, but we expect a very, very big crowd on Sunday at Football Factory. So we're ready for that. And of course, we have Vinny as a very, very special guest. They're waxing the floors, they're, cleaning the carpets, and they're getting ready for very, very A-list celebrities this Sunday. So
I love it. So that's what's going on in the respective clubs. And for us here in Montreal, Steve, Milan Club Napoli will probably not show up. We do have those couple of fans there. Are you going to be there in my stead this Sunday, or is Mario going to take care of everything?
Maybe yes, maybe no, but we don't know if Milan Napoli is going to show up or not going to show up. So let's hope they do show up, because that's what makes those viewing parties fun, when you can share some digs with other clubs.
On this Sunday at 2:45, and on that note,
because you're going to be in New York, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that. We set the over-under at the beginning of the week of 20 times. We're going to hear Vinny's going to be in New York. We are presently at 17, guys. 3 more times.
Awesome. It's exciting. I haven't been in New York since I was 8 years old. A week without Milan. Azzurri. Okay, so let's talk about it. Steve, I know you wanted to give your thoughts on this game here. I know that somebody had tweeted out that in the last X amount of games, Italy has not lost against England. And I'm like, okay, this is what's going to happen. We're going to lose. In a way, maybe I'm wrong by saying this, but I was kind of happy that it finished 2-1, because I think at 2-2, maybe some people would have considered this a win. But what were your takes of this game? First half was absolutely horrible.
If after a 2-2 draw against England, the way we played, you considered it a win, you should not be watching soccer anymore. That was a terrible game. Italy is in massive trouble. We have no game. We have no confidence. We have no swagger. We have a new sponsor, Adidas, that makes us look like Greece. No offense to anybody who's Greek. And it's just not going well. It's not going well with team selection. The Malta game was just as bad. I'm a little bit preoccupied. I won't sit here and say that I'm not. I find that I'm losing trust in the system more and more. And I've not held back. And if I would have had the pleasure of being there with Scaroni, one question that I would have asked is, what pressure are you putting on Serie A to change this league? And I've said it to multiple people, and whoever I speak to, people know I will say the truth, I will talk from the heart, and I will ask the hard question. And that hard question is, if Serie A does not change, we will not be watching Serie A in 5 years.
And you've mentioned it quite a few times, and I think at the first time I've said, okay, he's a bit far-fetched on this one, but the more time goes, the more it's like, it's not a far-fetched, idea. Well, it's not really an idea, but that it could happen,
And to add to that, the naiveness of Italians. Just, this young kid, they go get him from Argentina, and, he starts him. And after the England game, I saw just the real slum of the slum of Italian social media and hypocrisy. Basically going after this kid and saying, well, he doesn't even speak Italian. Okay? The game has changed. And if people can realize it, and you see how much the game has changed through La Nazionale. If this population in Italy does not change and not get their head out of their asses, this national team will suffer for many, many years. Many years. And if we don't start broadening a little bit our expectation of what we're going to be as a league in terms of developing talent, and you're going to start being, I'm going to say, a hypocrite or racist or whatever you want to call it. I don't want to say racist, but start nitpicking who we're going to start selecting for this team when he has nobody to select from. Guys, then don't show up at the parades. Okay? When we win the Euros and you haven't seen people for X number of years, and all of a sudden everybody's talking about Italy and everybody, I've watched through the shit of the shit. I've worn the red and black colors to the shit of the shit. So when we won the Scudetto, my flag went up, and no one could have told me to take it down because they know. And when we won the Euro, I showed up and I partied because I've been wearing this blue for a long, long time through a lot of shit. And I'm really, really pissed off at the stupidity that I'm hearing and the stupidity that I'm seeing. And I've taken a stance. I will be even more direct with these people. So the Napolitans that come out of the woodworks and all of a sudden want to talk soccer with me, no. Prove to me that you like Napoli and we'll have a conversation.
It's very well said. Yeah. Maris, how about you? Do you have any thoughts on the game? Would you say, do you agree with Steve? The way the future is not looking too bright for the Azzurri. Maybe the Euro was, the stars aligned, everything worked well for us. But what did you take from these two results?
As far as the Euros went, I think a lot of us agree that it was almost by accident. But we'll take the win and celebrate it and move forward. But move forward, there was no moving forward, as we've all seen. It was stale and moved backward, if anything. And we see the repercussions now that they're struggling to try to put something together. Well, the something to be put together, what are you really picking from to put it together? It seems to be an issue. And it's going to be an issue for a long time to come. And I think a lot of people just rely on the fact, well, Italy's is Italy, and they'll always be there, and they'll always be good. But for us to watch it more religiously and regularly, we see what's happening.
It's not It's not pretty to see, right?
It's not the greatest. I mean, yeah, I watched the game yesterday, bits and pieces here and there while I was doing some other things, but it was nothing great. A game like that should have easily have been 4 or 5-0 by the first half. But there's lack of I don't really know. I'm not that technically inclined with my words as to what to tell you. But
There's some. I don't know if Italy needs, David, maybe I ask you, like Germany back in 06, what did they do? They took it back home. They went back to the they went back to the storyboard. I'm like, okay, so from now on, X amount of players have to be German born, have to be from the academy. You have to have a certain percentage of German players. It took 10 years, but they had their cycle. We know about these stupid rulings in Italy about taxes.
David answers that question, we can't do that, and I'm gonna stop you there. You can't do that. Germany selects from Germany, Poland, and Turkey.
No, I mean, yes, they had put something in place that
I understand, Vince, but you have to understand the fact that Germany, they have so many naturalized Polish people, Turkish people, that it's almost they're selecting from 3 countries.
Okay, so
it's a big difference. It's a very big difference. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's right, but you have to.
So let's take the ruling. Let's take the ruling of take Germany out of the equation. The ruling of you need to have X amount of starting Italian players. Your Primavera you have to bring up is the system completely. I know, Steve, one time we're talking about that whole tax thing. That if you buy somebody from another country, you get 50% off on taxes on the second year. Does the system need to be revamped, or are we reading into this too much after just 2 games? Well, not just after 2 games, because we've seen, Italy not make the World Cup, and it's so sad to say that the last time we won a actual elimination match in a World Cup stage was the finals of 2006. Guys, think about that. But David, what say you, man?
Well, are we talking about the national team now? Or are we talking
about the national team?
So, Steve, I hate to disappoint you, Steve, but I've given up, and it breaks my heart because
you can't give up.
I've given up. I can't commit the time to it, and it's just not there for me. And the thing is, the Nazionale is what started my passion for the sport to begin with. It's where I learned about Paolo Maldini. It's what started everything for me. And so it's a huge disappointment not to qualify. It's a huge disappointment to lose. I mean, I feel, and part of this has to do with, I think, Milan getting away from Italian players as well. I mean, for me personally, I think the two are kind of interrelated a little bit. Like, I get more excited when I see my players on the national team. That's just how it is for me. And we don't have the Italian core that we used to. And I have no problem with that because that's part of the modern game. I think Milan, more than other teams, has been doing pretty well in terms of, developing their system, what they want it to look like. And to me, it looks a little bit more international. But I don't see the Italian Federation doing what they need to do to be competitive at the international level again. It's just, and because of that, I can't commit myself to it. I wanted to turn around. Trust me, I wanted to turn around. I love the Italian national team, but I can't do it right now.
I feel a bit of you because, for me, I would work my schedule around the Azzurri games, right? And time 2 weeks in advance, 3 weeks in advance, take these days off. And I don't know what it is, and not giving up because, Italy is always Italy. And I feel a bit of what you're saying. Mark, how about you, man? Are you watching these games? Are you on what side of the fence are you on?
I agree with Steve 100%. Steve, you said you weighed the Azzurri through shit, and so have I. But I think we need to invest in some blue hazmat suits because there's going to be a load of shit coming. Because this runs so deep. I mean, you just look at the national team. Look at the under-21. Just look at Italy. Compare it to Germany, France. And Steve, you're 100% right. They pull. I mean, nobody has more naturalized players than France, but the point is they've lapped Italy like 4 times. I mean, you could the guys who weren't called up for France would run Italy off the field. Just the guys who weren't even called up. I mean, it's bad, and it goes all the way. I mean, it doesn't happen overnight. This has been happening for so. I mean, we won the Euros, like I said. Like what you just said, it's great. It counts. You know, you're in the tournament. That's what happens in short tournaments. You can get hot. We see it in every sport. I mean, the Baltimore Ravens won a Super Bowl, and no one expected it to happen. I mean, but like,
was this the first Baltimore Ravens reference ever on Milan Weekly podcast?
Absolutely.
Probably, yeah. Shout out Milan Club Baltimore if you exist. No, it's bad. I mean, we prop up the most mediocre young talent and pretend that they're going to be like the saviors. And surprise, surprise, it doesn't happen. And the guys who've been playing there for a while, they seem to have checked out. I mean, Verratti looks like he's he couldn't be bothered by putting that shirt on. And he's just one example. I'm not putting the blame. I hate putting the blame on one player, but the whole team is just. I mean, we have no strikers. Italy has no strikers. I mean, that is a travesty.
We have no center backs.
No center backs. Italy has no defense.
Yeah, but Steve, if you have to listen to Twitter, you see what happens when you don't have a Juve-led Azzurri, you lose. This is what we have to hear there. But
yeah, that's funny. That's funny. But there's one thing I have to tell you, Aldo. I will protect them to the bone, though. I'm having this conversation with you guys, and it goes on the internet for the people who are going to tune into this. But I will protect the Azzurri to the bone. Like, if someone comes and trashes the Azzurri, I will remind them and put up the four fingers. We are 4-time World Cup champions. 4-time. Not by fluke. Unfortunately, as fans, we have no control on how to make it better. But I think at a certain point, the country needs to understand that it has to get with the year 2023 and get out of the year 1974.
Yep. How about Mancini? Does he have a bit to blame on this one, Frank? A lot of the conversation came from the selection of the center backs. Again, it's not like he's leaving superstars at home, but how much do you think this is on Mancini, or maybe your thoughts on these two results?
I feel like Mancini falls into the same syndrome that any other coach who has won with the Azzurri has fallen into. You can, if you go back in history, people say the same thing about Berzot. People say the same thing about Lippi in 2010. Anytime a guy wins, he has trouble moving away from what he won with and some of the system that he's used to. And it's hard. It's hard as a coach. Ego gets in the way, and just stubbornness and, beliefs and philosophy get in the way sometimes. So, sometimes things that are, we could say the same thing about Pioli, but obviously that's not the conversation right now. When, as fans, we look at things that are logical. I think everybody looked at that lineup against England and was like, what are these two doing starting at center back, especially with somebody like Romagnoli on the bench? I mean, I'm not saying Romagnoli is the best center back that we even have in Italy, but I feel like he was a better option to start that game against England, for a number of reasons, just physicality and height and understanding of his opponents. But I think in the beginning of the Malta game, it was almost obvious that was the better choice. Obviously, Malta is not England, and I think we can all admit that. And
almost went down 1-0 against Malta too. Let's not forget that from that incredible save in the room. I'm not saying we would have lost the game, but we looked a little bit in shambles until we took over with those goals.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little hairy at the beginning, but I feel like the first half Italy played a very good game against Malta. The second half was inexcusable. They just turned off the intensity for whatever reason. They felt comfortable enough where they didn't have to play as intense in the second half. The second half of the Malta game was not good. It was not pretty to watch, and much like the first half of the England game. The second half of the England game was not terrible. I think with better personnel on the field, maybe you could have had a better game. You got to remember, some guys are injured. Some guys weren't picked. I saw a lot of people arguing for a guy like Zaccagni, and why isn't he not part of Italy's starting 11 right now? It's like one of the best players in Serie A and one of the most consistent players in Serie A is not on the pitch. The issue with that is that we're talking about a guy like Zaccagni being the one
like a savior,
right? And a guy like Retegui give him all the credit in the world because he got called up and he did what he was supposed to, but he's not a savior. Same thing. And that's where I agree with Steve when he talks about losing trust. Because where is the light at the end of the tunnel? Is it Etegi and are guys like Zaccagni your light at the end of the tunnel? I don't think so. Okay, just like Mark said, when you stack that up against France, where they have the ability to leave a guy like Kalulu on the under-21 for 3 years, I know we look at things, from a Milan standpoint, but a guy like Kalulu on Italy is an automatic starter. So that is the disparity between two neighbors that have very, very different situations with their national team right now.
So we'll see what musters up. I know, it's not a done deal or, what's going to happen. But if they continue playing like this, it looks like we're going to qualify again. But again, it's been 2 games. Steve, about Milan players in the World Cup, I don't know if you saw Magic Mike's save today in the final minutes. Wow.
Magic Mike is the best goaler in the world.
That's correct.
I don't even if somebody wanted to argue with you on that one, who are they going to bring up in this conversation?
The usual ones, the 2 Brazilians, and they're going to throw in Courtois from Real Madrid, who plays against Barcelona, and then no one else. But Mike Maignan is the futurized best goalkeeper in the world, and Milan will lose him.
How about Krunic had a good performance for this World Cup qualifiers? How about Tonali, Steve? At some points I felt he was on, and some points I felt like he was all over the place, like running left, right, and center. Huh?
He sucked of ass. He was terrible. He was playing against Malta, playing like as if he was playing against the Brazilian national team. This is not getting better for Tonali, guys. I was hard on him the last game, and he looks disinterested. He looked out of place. He looked like he was zero confidence. I don't know why. Is this we won the Scudetto? This is a very strange year. I can take a little bit of a break. It's not the time for him to be taking the break. And I saw something the other day where they were showing Tonali at Brescia. Tonali at Brescia is the Tonali that Milan wanted. I don't know what happened in that plane ride or whatever. I'm not good with geography, but how far Brescia is from Milan, or train ride. But go look at Tonali's highlights with Brescia, and that's the Tonali that Milan needed and wanted, and we did not get that.
We had him for a little stretch where he was actually
no. We never had him. We absolutely never had him. Okay, not even one single minute.
But you got those highlights from Brescia. I know Kalulu got hurt. Do you think this is a bad omen, Maurizio, with these international breaks? Kalulu getting hurt. Then I saw somebody posting that Ibra got hurt too without playing a minute. I don't even know what's going on. But Kalulu being hurt, is this worrisome?
What are you going to do? You got guys that are going to fill in, whether they're adequate or not. You're going to roll with it. I see Kyer hasn't had as much playing time lately, from what I've briefly read. Probably insert him in if possible, and go from there. But unfortunately, this is what you're going to get with these international breaks. You're going to have players that are potentially in.
It is what it is, But how about to David? Kim says. His question, like, hey, gents, keep up the fantastic work. Don't forget people like, subscribe, comment, turn on notification on. Do you think switching the formation to back 4 is a solution, giving Leao that left wing spot? And if Kalulu is out, maybe bring in Kajar back to, do you think maybe back to 4-3-3?
I'm the wrong person to ask this question, Vinny. You know that.
I know. I love putting on the spot.
I would defer that question to Franco.
To Frank, how about to your friend Mark, because he's closer, right over there, right next to you, to your left, Yes, Mark, 4-3-3.
I don't know. I think formation is overrated a lot of the time. I just think if you go to a 4-3-3 now, it's another formation these guys have to learn and train in, and that's my concern there. I understand. I know why people say it, because the numbers make sense. You have 3 midfielders, then you have the 2 wingers, but I think the team needs to go back to what won them a Scudetto. I think that's going back to 4-2-3-1.
They need to get back to playing with balls.
Yeah.
Never mind the formation. Play with balls.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Because
saying.
the
I think
formation is
formation's
only
overrated.
good for whatever news outlet is reporting on it. It's to get it on Gazzetta dello Sport. It's to get it on your TV to show you where they're lining up. The formations constantly change when you're on offense and on defense.
Right. If you watch a
4-3-3, 4-2-3-1. It's all the same. It's the way you walk into that game and how you play with balls.
So let's rephrase. Would you go back to a back four instead of the three center backs?
You asking me?
Asking you, asking anybody. Would you do the back? Would you go back to back four?
Can I answer that?
Yes, Senor Franco.
So as much I agree with Steve. The formations are dynamic, but there might be something psychological in some type of psychological security in going back to a declared four at the back. And I think he should have done it in the Udinese game after what we saw the game prior to that. That was a game where you could have at least, experimented with that before the calendar turns on you. And now you have in April with 3 games against Napoli and then like some rinky-dink Empoli game in between. So, you're not going to experiment this coming Sunday. At least I hope not, with everybody coming off of planes from all over the planet, which is also tough. I know obviously Napoli is in the same boat, but they're also in much better shape than we are. So I would have tried it in the Udinese game just for some type of, psychological catalyst. But, like Steve said, formations are dynamic during a game. Anybody who really watches a game will see that, in different situations, there's 5 at the back, there's 3 at the back, there's 4, so I think that our personnel is not as dynamic as the game wants them to be. And I think that's our shortcoming when it comes to Milan's roster.
As long as if Kajar plays, they don't pull. Do they lose to Kazakhstan? They came back. Denmark lost to Kazakhstan.
Yeah, they lost 3-2 right after he talked to the press and said that he wasn't playing enough currently at Milan, and even though he respects the coach and whatever, he feels that he was much more ready to play and he hasn't been playing enough. And then he goes and captains his team to a 3-2 loss in Kazakhstan.
Oh well, but at least this international break didn't take like 2 weeks, so we do have back Milan this Sunday. You know what, Dave? I'm going to let you answer this one. Alex says, as Milan clubs, do you have any memories of noteworthy visitors dropping by to visit the club while they've been in the area? Would it be a Milan player? Well, all these famous people. Anything comes to mind from Milan Club Philly?
Who's actually come to visit us? No famous players have joined us. I mean, we've always been the ones to kind of travel to see them. So that counts for something. But we've had lots of really wonderful Milanisti from around the world come and join us in Philadelphia. People from London, people from Ireland, people from all over Italy. They hear about us, they find out, and they come and join us, and we always welcome them with open arms. I have to work on getting the kind of A-listers that the New York City club gets. I mean, we're Philadelphia. We're not New York. Nobody likes us. We don't care. And that's kind of a double-edged sword. It gives us a little bit of an edge, but at the same time, it's like nobody wants to come to Philadelphia. So I think that's something we're working on actively, and I'm hoping that we could take some cues from our friends both in New York and in Boston who had a fantastic event a couple weeks back. We just had an absolute blast up there. So Nesta was in Philly, but he wasn't there for our club. So that's kind of why I didn't answer that. Thank you, Fabio, for the reminder there. But
he beat me. I was going to say Nesta was there a couple weeks ago. You have a picture with Zlatan when he was at the Galaxy.
He's very modest, David.
The question was.
No, I know, but still,
did I misinterpret the question?
Yes.
No.
Okay. Kevin Constant, and you know what? He's not going to have a shirt on, and he will have a bow tie on.
Very nice.
And so will I.
That we have no hard time believing. Moritz in Toronto. Anybody ever come by to the club? Anybody famous? Milan or not Milan?
He's right below me here in the chat.
Franco came with you. Did he come with the white suit like Don Fanucci in The Godfather?
No, he shows up unannounced and he just runs. You look at the door, and he just shows up unannounced, and that's the best kind of great. What do you call it? The best kind of surprises.
Surprises. So you had the Franco. We stalked them, not the other way around. Boston. How about you guys? Anybody?
I agree with David. By the way, nobody likes Philly. I think the most famous person. I think Angie Fonte. I think was the most famous person we had at our club. The first lady of Philly.
The first lady of Philly graced you with her presence, so that's got to count for some points.
Yeah, we've tried to get Danilo Gallinari. He's on the Celtics and he's a Milanista. And as soon as we signed him, that became my goal to get him to come. Then he like immediately tore his ACL in an international tournament. So he's still on the team, but I don't think it's really good optics to be visiting bars and hanging out with idiots when you're rehabbing a knee. So maybe someday, maybe next year or something, we'll try again.
We'll give it a try.
We had an NBA player too, Mark, and I forget the guy's name because, as you guys know, I don't know.
Meta World Peace?
Meta World Peace?
Who?
David. Oh my God, Steve. For me, it's got to be. I know Massaro will come with the Champions League in Montreal. We'll let Franco answer after, but it's got to be that Skype call when me and you were wearing those aprons. We're talking to Baresi and Massaro. Then we spoke to Pep. What was his name? The goaltender. Pepe Reina and the Castillejo, and we're calling him Giuseppe, and you're talking about Pastelisce, Pendelisce, and Penderigate. Which one did you ever have an opportunity to meet somebody else?
I did meet coming with the Champions League.
I met Gattuso that time when he came. He signed my 2006 jersey. But Franco for sure, he's got a list. Did you write those down, Franco, on your notebook?
Vinny, now that you mentioned that, I did get to talk to a guy named Paolo for 2 minutes on a video call once.
Oh yes, what's his last name there? I believe.
I think it's on my shirt.
Maldini. Okay, here we go. Yes, you did have.
Yeah, that's right.
That was pretty cool there. A video chat with Paolo Maldini, and you kept it cool, right, Maurizio?
Well, I opened the conversation up with the "Way, Paolo, come sta?" Which got a pretty good reaction out of him and his staff because it was like we were old buddies. Just, hey, what's going on, Paolo?
That's awesome. And Franco, New York. Okay, give us the most important to you.
Top three. Limited to top three.
The most important to me is Tonali only because it was so spur of the moment and like unsolicited, where it was just like, yeah, I'll come hang out. Like, tell me where to go and I'll come see you. And we actually sat there for like an hour, where we didn't think he was coming, and then he showed up at like 10 o'clock at night and sat and had a beer with us, and then 2 nights later invited us back out to dinner. So that for me is probably number one, just because it was just such a cool weekend and surreal. I think this past weekend, with all due respect to Daniele Massaro, who we've seen twice, this past weekend was special only because it was the entire società, like Milan as an organization, like actually giving us a pat on the back and saying, what you do does not go unnoticed. And I think when they come to you and say, what you do doesn't go unnoticed, and all the media that we got over the last 2 days, and they tagged us in their posts, and again, like, without having to ask them to do that, to me, that's what it means to be a Milan fan in North America. I always ask people, what does it mean to be a Milan fan? And everybody on the screen could probably have a different answer, but what does it mean to run a club in North America? I think we'd all have a very similar answer, and it's just to carry the colors and be ambassadors to the team on this side of the ocean. And I think when a team that you've loved your entire life and you've never even, you can only dream of doing the things that you do now, running a club, actually happen and come to fruition, it's the ultimate compliment when the president of the actual team comes to you and says, what you guys do here is beautiful and I want to come see it. and then he looks at your website and sees a picture of the fans celebrating in Times Square, and he's like, this picture should be on our website, and
That's
you know,
awesome.
things like that. So this recent visit from Scaroni and this nice little gift that he gave us is definitely up there. I think also because if you put Scaroni in in a ranking with obviously Maldini and then like Pioli and then players and stuff, like people will probably be like, Scaroni, and yet it was so meaningful. And having him in our presence, we realized how important he actually is to the organization and just to Milanisti around the world. So
that's why I think that's it's home, because you weren't expecting Tonali, just came out of nowhere, so that's gotta be pretty cool. Guys, we do have a couple of questions, but for us to go to these questions through everybody, it's always the same questions about who to choose as a coach or anything. Steve, we do have some bit of busted tweets, but anything else you wanted to talk about, the feelings? Let's facciamo la carica for this Sunday, because this month of April, right, there will be a lot of it's a do. I know you don't like when I say do or die month, but we got Napoli 3 times. Then you have who are playing, guys? I think Empoli. Empoli on those. It's just, what are your feelings, Steve? We just got to come out swinging.
I would show them the videos of the dumb Napoli fans who were happy that they chose that they got selected, that Milan was selected as their opponent. I will be constantly playing that on a loop. I was playing it everywhere. I would play it on Scaroni's plane, whichever plane he took. I would have it injected into his phone as a ringtone. I would play it at Milanello while they're practicing. Where the thing that makes me laugh is this is the generation that doesn't, I think it's Mike Tyson who says that quote there. The social media generation doesn't know what it feels like to get a punch in the face. And you go on, and these guys are coming out of the woodworks, and the Napoli jerseys are coming out. And again, it's great for Serie A. I have nothing against Napoli, but we've lost a little bit of respect for the 19-time champion and the champion of the Scudetto from last year. Now,
speaking of Napoli, I just wanted to read this out to you, Steve, and ask you to answer this one. Lab Gorilla on Patreon saying, I'm going to argue that Napoli being dismantled in the summer is going to be detrimental for the competitiveness of the league, both internally and in Europe. Milan may find getting top 4 easier next season simply because the quality in the league will drop further. Hence, maybe keeping Pioli, even if we fall out of top 4, might be the financially smartest move. Do you think they would be dismantled if they come up with a very, Scudetto, and
they're
maybe
going to be dismantled and have a shit ton of money? They have a shit ton of money because, again, no one's going to say no to 150 million for Osimhen, and no one's going to say no to 150 million or 100 million for the Georgian. The problem is people are going to say, yeah, but they're going to win the Scudetto. They're going to win the Champions League. They're going to win this. They're going to win that. They're going to win La Festa Tesoro. They're going to win whatever they want to win. The problem is that ADL, at the end of the day, doesn't generate enough money to pay Osimhen and the Georgian 7, 8, 9 million a year, because that's what they're going to want. They're not going to get away with, you're at 2.5, we're going to give you 4. No, because the EPL shits out money because they do it right in terms of how they run a league, and they could pay that money. So when you see Osimhen at United in that stupid red jersey, that's the problem. When you're going to see KK, wherever he's going to play, West Ham or Brighton Albion with De Zerbi in those stupid, ugly jerseys playing
Newcastle.
Stupid soccer, you turn around and you look at the FIGC and Lega Serie A and you say, thank you very much. Now, to Lab Gorilla, yeah, it might be easier to make top 4, but again, in another depleted league.
Yeah.
And people are going to say, Steve, yeah, but this year we have 3 teams in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. I know, with less than 10% chance of them, either of those clubs winning it. And the highest percentage being Napoli. The highest percentage. We haven't said that in 30 years. Napoli, not even cannot even tell you what the Champions League trophy looks like, let alone be the favorites of Italy to win it.
It is what it is, guys. And Steve, I'm going to take your words again from last week. It's all fine and dandy that 6 out of the 7 teams or Italian teams are still in their respective European competition. But in the end, nobody's going to remember that. They're going to remember who wins it all, right? So on that note, before we get, we'll have a few laughs with some busted tweets. Mari, it's once again, the event already sold out, so nobody can just walk in this Sunday at the Mills?
It'll be a private event. For, like we said, we did a limited number of tickets that were available, so it is sold out. So private event, bar is closed for those hours that we will be occupying it, and hopefully it all goes well. We'll see what the results hold, but
and for Champions League, same place. You always go to the same
place for whoever's available. The Mills has always got us covered, which is great.
Fantastic.
I'm available for the first leg.
You're available for the first leg?
I'm going to be in Toronto.
He's going to be in Toronto. You see, another great presence that he's going to, what a president of New York is going to grace you with his presence. Maybe Philly might do it one of these days. But Dave, name us again where you guys are going to be on Sunday. And for Champions League, do you go back or you just try to bar hop from bar to bar?
For Sunday, we will be at Bankroll, Philadelphia. So the details are all coming out either later tonight or tomorrow, but look out for that. Champions League, we'll work it out. This is a new spot for us, going for the first time. We'll see how things happen, and then we'll make that announcement as well. But definitely this Sunday, check us out at Bankroll, and we could do some visitors too. Vinny, Steve, come on, Philly's not that.
Well, and for whatchamacallit, for. So, what was I going to say? Why are you saying he's injured? To Angie,
his tooth. You don't see him. He looks all depressed tonight. He's not even happy.
He's smiling like Maurizio.
He's smiling like injured. He's playing with balls tonight. Good for him.
I don't know, Steve. Maybe if I get one of those beautiful marble jackets, I'll feel better about the national team.
Fuji's and Funyuns called you. You're like Michelangelo in the marble jersey.
That was a great
plus size model for the Azzurri. Let's go.
Mark, same thing for you guys for this Sunday and for Champions League. Always the same spot.
Yeah, Ducali at all the matches this April. Unfortunately, I won't be able to go to the Champions League matches. I'll be in Aruba, so I'll be watching by myself.
Oh my God! I feel so bad for you there, Mark. Oh, Aruba, really? This time of year?
Did you see the way he announced it? Yeah, guys, I'm gonna be in Aruba. I'm gonna watch him by myself.
It's pretty windy in Aruba in April.
Yeah, if they win though, I'm just gonna be the idiot who's just walking on sunshine by myself for no reason.
You'll get some sandblasted, that's for sure.
It's all good. It's all good. So let us know. Send us some pictures when you're in Aruba. Franco, you will not be in Aruba, but Legends is always the place to be for any Milan. And who are we sharing this bar with on Sunday? PSG is playing, I think.
If PSG is playing, then we're sharing the bar with them, unfortunately. But I think generally and lately, and especially for a game like this, we'll have 2/3 of the bar, and they'll have a third.
Yeah, but PSG is playing where? They're not playing Champions League.
Yeah,
so you're sharing them with what?
We share the bar with. I'll give them their little pat on the back. They're not many plastics in that crowd. There's a lot of Parisian transplants that are originals. They've been running that club a long time. So
yeah, but for a regular, but they're gonna be playing what? That's what I'm asking. If they're
they're probably playing like Sunday.
No, the Sunday, Steve.
Oh, the Sunday you're sharing. Okay, I thought for the Champions League.
Oh no.
Okay, whatever. Liga.
And we'll have Fabio too, meeting Fabio for the first time. So that's gonna be fun. Hopefully,
yeah, man, you're the missing link.
On the missing link, 3 points, please. This Sunday, 3 points. So I'll let maybe Fabio won't be able. Maybe Gio will like to do a therapy session. If not, I will be back on time and hopefully can share some pictures and videos that will be taken on Sunday. Steve, I'll be back probably by 6 p.m. So we'll take it from there. Are we ready for a few?
Not if we have anything to say about that.
Oh, okay. We're not allowed to take videos or pictures of people at. We'll just put the.
I was talking about like you being back by 6 o'clock and not.
There's no way
enjoying yourself.
Doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen. Are we ready for a few laughs, gentlemen? Let's see what Jan proposed, put up for us. Busted the tweets, and guys, thank you for joining again. The Council of the Five Families. Maybe one day we will have Presidente come on. Behind the door number 1, Stevie P. What did Jan put for us? Italy with Juve players versus without. So you see, with Juve players, Steve, we win Euros, but without Juve players, we lose to England. So this is the one I was referring to. The Busted.
Yeah, I would love Black and White to list all the players that Juve fried because they took them on loan and then sold them for a bag of peanuts and destroyed their careers. I would love to see that list from all the Juventini.
What do we have on the next one? You guys give me your thoughts. To Daniel Bowen, wasn't the deal with the haters out there, bro? And they better get used to history changing. Sooner or later, they will have to accept Napoli is becoming
This is the winner.
A dynasty.
I love dynasty talk before a win even happens.
You could have 8 more Bustacalcio tweets after this is the winner.
Yeah,
this is the.
I agree.
A dynasty. So dynasty is held by the Chicago Bulls had a dynasty, the Lakers had a dynasty, the Montreal Canadiens had a dynasty. Steve, which dynasty does Napoli going to that they're becoming a dynasty?
Dynasty has the sitcom show. Maybe they become a new sitcom show, Dynasty in Napolitan.
Oh, okay. So Napoli from the 80s, but in Napolitan. Yeah, this one. Okay, so your vote so far, Franco?
Oh, sure.
All right. What else do we have? Football Report. Jean Barat to what are these? He's record goal scorer in the history. Jonathan Day. Barcelona has always been my favorite club since I was a kid. Tells when a Canadian striker expected to leave in the summer, he's record goal scorer in the history of Lille. So why is this busted? I'm trying
because he's not
the record goal scorer.
From Fabrizio Romano. This guy gets a bad rap. I don't know. Like some people are very polarizing, or they hate him completely, or they love him. So he named 7 players before Jonathan Davies, but this guy will take it at Milan. But busted, but not to the level of the other one. Steve, what do you think about this one? Just correcting guys like Fabrizio Romano.
I tip my hat because he's trying to write in English, but I think this is like a translation.
That's what I think too.
Yeah, it is, because like in Italian, like if you say da record, it just means like he had like a standout season, or like he had like a standout a couple of years, you know. And
this is everybody jumping on someone who's trying to work to make money for himself and for his family. But that's the usual stuff. But again, pretty busted that he was again misinterpreted. But no one beats the Napoli guy. No one beats Dynasty.
Napoli.
Dynasty Dave.
Dynasty. Let's see what else. Maybe he's got some surprises here. Oh, that was also honestly. Yeah, let me just leave it up here.
Dynasty Daniel. That's what we're gonna call him. Tweet him out tomorrow. President, take it down. Tweet out Dynasty Daniel.
Can we get a dynasty intro and maybe put some Napoli faces? JR, who shot JR? Remember that was from Dynasty, if I'm not mistaken. Dave, you remember Dynasty?
Oh my God.
David's the only one old enough to remember Dynasty.
So we'll tweet them out. We'll tweet them out tomorrow. But guys, look at it. This is why these conversations, I love having these roundtables with you guys. So once again, thank you. Toronto, New York, Boston, Philly. Us in Montreal, we're representing. Somebody's asking who's representing Montreal. It's always Stevie P, because there's vice presidente for Stevie P. Me, I don't know why I'm a treasurer. I've never handled money whatsoever, but that's my delusional dynasty. Daniel, Facebook Frank comes in with the zinger.
Can I ask Franco one question before we go? It's a stupid question, but I'm just curious. It's killing me. What did Scaroni drink? What was the drink that he ordered?
He had a Stella.
Okay.
Yeah. He had a Stella.
He asked for a Stella, or did he go, what do you have?
I actually don't know, just because there was so much confusion, but I saw him enjoying a Stella. Enjoying it.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
And another, they picked up the tab. I think that's also part of why they.
Holy shit!
Yeah, so if we don't buy a winger, it's Milan Club New York City's fault.
Great.
Well, thanks a lot, guys. There goes the budget for that one.
I mean, they should go to Canada with the Canadian dollar. You know,
their money's very good
the
over
province, Dave. They can buy the whole province. They'll buy the whole bar.
On that note, gentlemen, thank you once again. Hopefully, we could muster up, like Steve said, some balls for this Sunday and get these 3 points because we definitely need it. In the end, Steve, anything else before we let our thousands of viewers and listeners go for and meet them next week?
Yeah, so I'll post this like we usually post Milan Weekly Podcast, but these are the ones that the Serie A should take notice of. We can get 6 guys on this one little screen on this small little podcast talking about how much we love Milan and Serie A. This is why we do it. This is why we put it up. Not for the interactions, not for the likes, not for the subscriptions, so on and so forth. This is why we do it. And if someone can translate my English into not Cosendino Italian to pass it on to them, this is what I would send them. 6 guys from North America, 3 from Canada, 3 from the United States of America. And I'm pretty sure if they would allow us, we could get many more talking Milan, talking Azzurri for 1 hour, English content on the house. I don't know how much more we have to do to catch your attention. Serie A. Milan, I tip my hat again, doing all class, going and see the guys there in New York. Take a little trip, go see Dave in Philly, go see Mark in Boston, go see Maurizio in Toronto, and ven a casa qui a Montreal, ti facciamo una bella spaghettata.
Ovunque e sempre.
Forza Milan!
Ciao.
Sempre.